Your conference is being recorded.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The moderator for the conference call. Welcome to LIC Housing Finance Limited Q1 FY22 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participants will be in listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then zero on your touchtone telephone. Please note, this conference is recorded. I would now like to hand over the floor to Mr. Praveen Agarwal of Axis Capital Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bharti. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this call. We have with us Mr. Y. Vishwanath Gowd, MD and CEO, and Mr. Sudipto Sil, CFO of LIC Housing Finance. I would request the management to share their initial remarks, post which we'll open the floor for Q&A. Over to you, Mr. Gowd.
Okay. Actually, very good morning to all of you, and thank you, Pradeep. At the outset, I actually heartily welcome to every one of you and invite for this post-earnings investor call of LIC Housing Finance Limited. As you are aware, LIC HFL declared Q1 FY22 results yesterday. Before beginning, I wish you and your near and dear ones very good health and safety. Though the previous financial year closed on a note of improved economic activity, since April, however, the situation changed rapidly with the emergence of the second wave of the pandemic, with lockdown and restrictions being imposed across various parts of the country, plunging the economic recovery again into uncertainty and also affecting our own operations. Since June, there has been an improvement in economic activities. However, the graph of recovery will continue to hinge on the pace of vaccination and containment of or prevention of the future resurgence of the pandemic. Key highlights of the results for the quarter are as follows. Total revenue from operations 4,857 crores against 5,000 crores as against 5,004 crores for the corresponding quarter of the previous year, showing a decline of 3%. Outstanding loan portfolio stood at 2,32,548 crores against 209,817 crore as on 30th June 2020, reflecting a growth of 11%, out of which individual housing loan portfolio stood at 2,16,947 crores against 1,95,176 crores. It is up by 11%. Individual home loan growth reported a growth of 13%, and now it comprises a little more than 78%, up from 76.6% a year ago. Total disbursements for the quarter were 8,652 crore. Out of that, disbursements in the individual home loan were 7,650 crore as against 3,560 crores in the last quarter, a growth of 152%. Disbursements in project loans, that is the developer loans, were 237 crores. Net interest income for the quarter 5 crores as against 1,220, recording a growth of 4.5%. Net interest margin stood at 2.2% as against 2.32% for the Q1 FY21. Profit before tax for the quarter stood at 192.93 crore as against 1,017.67 crore. Profit after tax for the quarter stood at 153.44 crores as against 817.48 crore for the same period in the previous year. Loan disbursements during the quarter remained positive, though they were impacted during April-May due to the resurgence of the second wave of COVID. Geographically, the growth remained evenly distributed across the various regions, with southeastern, western, south, and the south leading. Our mobile platform Homey app recorded a very good pickup, accounting for more than 3,400 crore sanctioned during the quarter. On the portfolio front, the total portfolio recorded a growth of 11% at 2,32,548 crores. With increased focus on the home loan segment, the growth recorded in the home loan portfolio was 13%. In terms of asset quality, Stage 3 exposure at default as on 30th June 2021 stood at 5.93 as against 4.12 as on 31st of March 2021. Total provisions as on 30th June 2021 stood at 4,727.02 crore, reflecting a provisioning of 4%. ECL provisions to the tune of 830 crores were done during the quarter towards the increase in the NPAs. Asset quality continues to be an area of high priority for us. There has been a sharp increase in the delinquencies, mostly due to the economic activities being impacted in Q1 with lockdown and restriction in many states because of second wave of COVID-19. However, with improvement in economic activities and our increased efforts on recovery, we are confident of controlling the same and believe that this should mark the peak. During the quarter under review, we have witnessed collection from accounts which were classified as NPA as on 31st March 2021 also. Though the amount may not be significant, it reflects some improvement in sentiments. Last week, a resolution has happened in an account that was an NCLT, which resulted in recovery of more than 100 crores. OTR during the quarter stood at 2,350 crores. We have been very closely focusing on the collection efficiency, and it continues to be around 98% for the regular accounts during the 3 months of the quarter. On the funding side, we have witnessed a reduction in overall cost of funds by 5 basis points during Q1 FY22 and year on year by 99 basis points. Incremental cost of funds has come down significantly and stood at 5.03% for the Q1 FY22. Net interest margins for the quarter stood at 2.2 as against 2.32% over the same period previous year. Incremental spreads clocked one of its highest levels and stood at 250 basis points during Q1 FY21. The funding environment and liquidity conditions remain quite favorable for the company. The company is offering home loans now at 6.66% interest rate for a specific limited period. It is the lowest rate ever in the interest rate. It is the lowest ever interest rate in our company. Project RED, that is Reimagining Excellence through Digital Transformation, in association with the BCG Group, it has also been progressing quite rapidly, and some projects CRM, video KYC, video PD have already been rolled out, which will take shape probably in this quarter and the next quarter to come. With this brief introduction, I would like to invite you for your queries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. If you have a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone keypad and wait for your turn to ask the question. If you would like to withdraw your request, you may do so by pressing star and 1 again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone keypad. First question comes from Mahrukh Adajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. So can you give the breakdown of NPLs into core retail, LAP and developer? And if you can even break down developer into LRD and others?
Yeah, I'll tell you. This IHL loans, individual housing loans, and the stage 3, now actually you have only stage 3 required for you, na? Correct?
Yes, sir.
So stage 3 comes to around 2.6% of the
which was 1.9 in fourth quarter?
Which was around 1.9 in the fourth quarter. Yeah, correct. You are correct.
Okay. Then, sir?
Then is in the non-housing commercial, if you see, that is hovering around 18%, 18.91%. Other thing is the non-housing individual, that is 10.99%. This all in the retail segment, total retail segment, overall comes to 4.57%.
Right, sir. So this non-individual of 10.99, that is LAP, is it?
Yes. Yeah, correct. That is
And the
non-housing
other
individual.
18.
Non-housing individual, yeah.
Got it. Got it, sir. So, could you explain the rise in employee expenses?
Rise in employee expenses, actually everything is normal only, because once in 4 years there will be wage revision. So with retrospective effect of 2017 it is given. So now we have paid the arrears to the tune of nearly 130 crores. So that is arrears amounts are paid. That's why they have been booked in this quarter.
Maruk, to that extent, that 124 to 130 crores, that is a one-off, which has appeared only in Q1 of this year,
Got it.
which is towards the arrear payments of last 4 years, almost you can say, from August 2017.
Got it. But so going ahead, could we continue to expect run rate in employee expenses of say 600 crore odd, or
No.
See, actually, if you, the 600 crores, actually you have to look at it from the point of view that after you remove that 125 odd crores, the number comes to around 92 crores. So that generally will be a run rate. So year on year increase, you can take around 15%.
Got
Now,
it. Got it.
now the quarterly amount is around 80 crores only. You are looking in last year also 80 crores was there.
Now it will increase
And
by
even
15%.
so, what happened? No, it will go by another 15%. That is the average we are given. Forward looking, this much only the figure, 80 plus another 15%. That's all within 100 crores. What happened? No, whereas for the quarter, this one of the amount is only the arrears which are paid for the past dues. That is the thing. It is our practice
Got it.
normally to give the wage revision once in 4 years. Retrospective effect. That's the thing.
Got it. Got it, sir. Sir, and in terms of capital, would we have any alternate plan of raising in case this does not go through?
See, actually, on this matter, we would not like to make any comment, because as you know, that we are working on the whatever instructions the stock exchanges have given, and we would not like to comment on this matter.
Got it. Fair enough.
Once anything comes, obviously it will be.
Yeah, we
public
have complied everything in full. We are in touch with the stock exchanges as per their. We are waiting for their what you call further instructions.
Correct.
Fair enough. And just one last question. The COVID provision is where? So of the total provision that you made in the quarter, which is say, 830 crores, of that, how much has gone towards restructuring? How much has gone towards provision, COVID provisions?
See, as far as
Does
the
it all sit
restructuring,
in the ECL? Yes.
everything is in the ECL.
Yes.
Everything is in the ECL, and for restructuring under the OTR, you have to create a reserve, not a provision.
And
Correct.
that can't be used for any other purpose.
That reserve is basically an appropriation. That is not a provision.
Right. But all part of ECL?
Everything is there. Whatever
yes.
provision has happened in the quarter has been reflected in the ECL provisioning in the P&L.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question comes from Abhijit Tibrewal from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. So first thing, I mean, at least the restructured pool that we have reported of about, I think, 53.5 billion during the quarter, I think is higher than what we had guided for during the last earnings call. And the other thing is, if you could just comment on what has kind of led to the sharp asset quality deterioration during the quarter.
No, Abhijit, first of all, let me tell you that this number that you are talking about is not only for the quarter. It is very in the earlier in the disclosure. It is very clearly mentioned that this is the cumulative. It is not during the quarter.
Right. Okay. And out of this, about 47 billion is your builder loans.
Yeah,
Correct. That is correct.
that is correct. That is correct.
Right. So, sir, I mean, if I look at our GNPA, which I think we suggested is 18.9% sometime back, and if we overlay this 4,700 crores of restructuring in the builder loans, I think compared to an overall book size of about 11,000, 12,000 crores, I think doesn't that seem a little too high? In other words, I would say around good 45-50% of the book is under stress now.
Now here one thing I would like to tell you, what happened, people have taken, I agree, this what you call this OTR and all, but some of the clients with whom we are in touch, even they may even what you call preempt the auction also, even they are availed now. When the situation improves, certainly there will be once again they can anytime they can close the restructuring, no. So they are all looking into that. All of our, even the developer loan book is size is very, very small for us. And wherever OTR is taken, just it is all what you call, no, they are in a capable position. Not that way they are totally it is slipping into NPS like that and all. So that way, I think there will be forward looking. We are very sure that further downside in this thing is almost all ruled out. That is the thing.
Okay. And sir, for your developer book, if you could give what was your stage 2 number, let's say in absolute terms?
Developer book, if you see at stage 2, as far as the project is concerned, 2,490.
This is your stage 2 in the developer book.
That's all.
Right, sir. And just one last question that I had. Sir, you have had about a 5% QQ increase in your interest expenses, while your incremental cost of borrowings have actually come down. So what has led to this increase? I mean, can that be explained by CPs coming off in your book and being replaced by some of the higher cost borrowings?
No, Abhijit, actually the cost of fund on a year-on-year has also come down. Sequentially also it has come down, both on the incremental as well as on the cumulative. If you see, there has been reduction in the interest expense year-on-year also by almost, I think, 5%, 5.7%. I'll give you the numbers if you want. Interest expense in the June quarter was of previous year was 3,764. As against that, it is 3,549. This is there in the published numbers.
Okay, all right. So I am talking about the QQ increase. So that number was.
So Q on Q sometimes it's not comparable because year end sometimes there could be a drop because of some change in the liabilities. But year on year there has been a reduction. On a full year basis also there will be reduction.
Fair point. So which what you're trying to suggest is there's no point looking at a QQ number.
Sequentially, correct.
Okay, all right. Thanks. That's all from my side.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Aditya Jain from Citigroup. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Could you tell us the amount of ECLGS disbursement which has happened?
Which one?
Can you please
bit louder, please?
ECLGS disbursement.
ECLGS.
Yes, outstanding. Yeah.
Hey, ECLGS portfolio actually now under 1 and 2.
400 crores, huh?
Yes, I'll tell you also, because what happened now almost all ECLGS total retail disbursement, actually sanction amount is 65 crores in this quarter, Q1, and then disbursement took place around 8 crores.
So you want exactly the total figure of ECLGS disbursement during the quarter?
So outstanding ECLGS or disbursements whichever way to date.
Sanction is 65, disbursement is 140 crores total.
During the quarter.
Retail project put together.
Total disbursement 140.
Yeah, 140 crores under ECLGS in the quarter 1 2022. Total amount has come to 140 crores. Disbursement. ECLGS. Yeah.
Got it.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay. And in the impairment reserve which is created for restructuring, you explained it passes through the P&L. The amount of the reserve is what? So at the end of the last quarter, I think you had talked about a 285 crores or so size of the impairment reserve. So where is it now?
So this time I'll tell you that for the first of all that impairment reserve is not a provision, it is an appropriation. So please do not mix it up with the provision. It is a different thing altogether. It is an appropriation out of the P&L. That is the amount of reserve on which you cannot service dividends. Right? And that OTR, that impairment appropriation will be done in the second quarter. That is in the September quarter, where balance sheets are actually required to be published. It does not have any impact on the P&L. It is an appropriation. Once again, I am clarifying. It is an appropriation. It is not a provision.
Understood. So as of now, the way I should look at it is 285 crore is the amount outstanding in that impairment reserve. That will be changed in the September quarter when the balance sheet.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And then just lastly, individual home loans, the increase in NPA, if you could qualitatively tell us which sort of customers or either geography or whichever way, if you were to dissect that, where has the increase in NPA come from?
No, normally, actually this quarter what happened, April and May, there are not much of movements outside, as you are knowing. So, geographically, if you are speaking, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities and all, no, what happened where our footprints were very high. Last year also we got more than 50% of business from there. So, there what happened, some delinquencies were there. May not be at the high ticket side, the individual housing loan, even the small ticket side here and there was some slip. But mostly they are in the defaults also now. So, what happened now? In the month of June, there is a good recovery in the second quarter of June. So we are very confident that going forward, I think in the individual housing loan segment, there will be sustainable and very durable recovery henceforth. That's what I do feel.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Miti Gupta from India Infoline. Please go ahead.
Sir, what has caused the impairment for the financial instruments to rise so much if we compare on the quarter-on-quarter basis?
Yeah, can you please repeat your question? You are not very much clearly audible.
So, what has caused the impairment on financial instruments to rise from 56.45 crore in quarter 1 last year to 830.41 in this year?
That is ECL provisioning, no? There has been an increase in the NPAs.
Non-performing.
Okay, so, what has been the movement from stage 2 to stage 3 in this quarter?
No, stage
2 to stage 3 now currently we stand at 5.93 overall.
So, how much the fresh pool has been moved from stage 2 to stage 3?
See, stage 2 to stage 3, if you now look at overall, there has been some improvement in the stage 1 also.
Okay.
Stage 2 to stage 3, there has been a movement of about 1.5 to 2%.
Sorry, sir, how much?
1.5 to 2%.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
There has been a marginal improvement in stage 1.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question comes from Srinivas Rao from HDFC Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Amit Ganatra. I just had a couple of questions. One was that, so last quarter the restructured book was 2,970 crores and now it is 5,353 crores. Is it correct?
Total is 5,350. This quarter is 2,350.
Correct. So incrementally was 2,300 crores. Correct?
Yes, 2,350 crores.
Now this 5,353 crores, if you were to see in what stage is it categorized right now, stage 2 or stage 3?
No, they are all
stage
Stage 1 only, no. They are in force and all, they have to be eligible under still restructuring. Then only they can.
So this book is largely sitting in
stage 1 and stage 1, stage 2 put together. It is not in stage 3.
Okay, but between stage 1 and stage 2, where it would be sitting majorly?
Majority will be in stage 1 only. That's what even last quarter also we had the same experience. What happened now, OTR 2 also is now started. Under OTR 1, which ended in the month by end of June. So both put together stage 1 and stage 2, it came to 5,350.
And then, I mean,
around
is there more restructuring expected? Because the restructuring is still going on, right?
Yeah, it is going on. OTR 2 now, we do not know how many people may opt for that and all, but still it is open up to the end of September. It is also web enabled and all, depends on the people who opt for that and all.
Right now, OTR2 opties are very little, but generally it picks up towards the end of the near about the closing date.
Even amount size also will be less than 50 crores, no? That also.
Right now, OTR2 is about 50 crores only.
Not above 50.
Okay. And is there any interest reversals that you had to take during the quarter because your interest income is also down 1% QOQ. So this is normal repricing of the book, or this is has an impact of higher NPAs also.
No, it will be obviously interest income to some extent will also be impacted by the NPA increase, but it is also due to the fact of reduction in the yields on the portfolio.
But is the interest reversal a very large number or something like that? Something you can highlight?
No, it is not. It is not. Actually, under Ind AS, you are allowed to accrue interest.
Exactly. Under Ind AS, the interest reversals are not generally.
It is not there.
Factor, right? Okay. Understood. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Amit Premchandani from UTI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I had a question. This 5,000 odd crore restructuring, how much has been the provision created on that?
Sorry, can you please repeat yourself?
OTR.
The 5,000 odd crore restructured amount, what is the provision created on that?
But then stage 1 and stage 2 only, no?
See, actually, under the once again I'm telling you, under the OTR regime, as per the RBI circular, now what we have to provide is a blanket 10% on the outstanding amount, right?
Yes.
So that is something which is complied. Now what happens to the difference between the ECL provisioning and the provisioning under this IRAC norms? This is under the IRAC norms and under the RBI prescription. So it is not under the ECL computation. The balance gets moved into an appropriation out of the P&L, which is called the impairment reserve, the balance.
Correct.
But to answer your question, fully it has been provided as per the RBI norm, that is 10%.
So, is it so 5,000 crores odd requires 500 crore provision? Is it safe to assume you have used the ECL 1 and 2 provisions and appropriated it for the restructured assets, rather than creating a fresh 10% provision to the P&L above the line?
See, actually what happens here, the treatment is different. So you have got the provisioning under the Ind AS is a pooled provision, right, on the entire assets of whether it's stage 1, or stage 2 or stage 3. Now under the RBI prescription, you have to also create 10% provisioning on the amount of restructured assets. So that 5,350 crores will lead to a 500 crores of provisioning requirement under the RBI IRAC norms. Okay,
right.
So that is a separate treatment. This is a separate treatment. Ultimately, you have to report the numbers under ECL. This provisioning is also created, and the balance is reflected as a appropriation of reserve. Now, if you look at as of March, that reserve was around say 280 or something. So that reflects the difference in the provisioning, which is taken out of reserve.
So 280 crore has been taken out of the reserve for this
as an appropriation. That's an appropriation. I wouldn't say it is taken out of reserve, but it is an appropriation of the P&L.
Yeah, but this reserve is below the line after the.
Correct. This is a reserve, not a provision. This is a reserve, not a provision.
Okay, so that is not flown to the P&L. It is below the P&L.
Yeah, to the extent of the difference. Only to the extent of the difference between the NHB RBI prescribed norms and this one. Otherwise, 4,700 crores is the provisioning which covers all the NPL accounts, including the ones which are under restructuring.
Correct.
Right, sir. So, and the difference is 280 crore that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Shashank Verma from Axis Mutual Fund. Please go ahead. Mr. Shashank, please go ahead with your question.
Hello. Thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity. So I just wanted to check on one prior question. This ECLGS, as on date, what is the outstanding number?
400 crores. Around 450 crores approximately.
Okay. One more thing. The top 10 developer accounts will contribute how much for us as on date?
Top 10?
Developer accounts would be how much on an absolute basis or as a percentage of our entire developer book today?
No, you are talking about top 10 developer accounts or top 10 NPA developers in the NPA segment?
No, sir. I'm talking about the standard accounts, top 10 standard accounts.
Yeah, top 10 standard, top 10 in the portfolio, let us look at it this way.
Yeah.
Top 10 in the, will be around, say, 2,000 crores.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
2,500.
Next question comes from Piran Engineer from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I just have a couple of questions. Firstly, in the individual segment, in the second phase of restructuring, we've done only 40 crores or so. Why did we let them slip into NPL and not restructure them?
No, it is not allowing them to slip. Their time is still there. They have to be eligible. There are certain eligibility criteria.
They have to satisfy that and all. They have to come under that. Even ratings also may be required. Achha, you are asking individual.
Retail, the rating is not required, but there are certain eligibility criteria.
Correct.
But those would just be ticket size based eligibility criteria, right?
They have to be a performing account, no?
No. So as of March, they would have been performing. Okay,
Correct.
and then we had the option to restructure, but we didn't, and then they slipped in this quarter.
No,
or are you saying they slipped in the month of April before the circular came out?
Exactly. That is what I'm saying. That basic eligibility criteria of the account being standard should have to be clarified. I'm sure it should have been achieved by the optees. That is number one. Number two is that not everybody is applying for OTR because many people are paying intermittently. It is not they're stuck in default completely, they're paying intermittently also.
Got it.
Retail segment around 1,567 numbers are accounted for, not under OTR.
Okay. And sir, now if you can just give us a broad picture, we've got almost 9,000 crores of loans under NPL in the individual segment. Now, what percentage of this NPL would be customers who are paying, but just that they are more than 90 days overdue? So they're paying, but they're paying with a lag. And what percentage would be those who are not paying at all? If you can give some color on this, that would be really helpful because our collection efficiency always looks strong, but then quarter after quarter, our NPLs are rising even in the retail segment, and investors are just not able to understand how those two can coexist. So if you can give a sense of what percentage of your NPL book is paying, that would give a lot of clarity to investors. Would you happen to have that number offhand?
No, I'll just share some exact numbers. I'll try to share whatever numbers. See the number, the regular up-to-date, the regular collection efficiency on a month-on-month basis, that is on the regular accounts, that is more than 95%. That is around 98%, and that has consistently been there. In terms of total number of customers who have actually made some payments, 1 minute.
No, I meant how many NPL customers are making payments?
Yeah, NPL collection people, what happened tier 2, tier 3 disease, April and May, movement was restricted, but even over telephone and also follow-up and all, NPA customers of nearly what you call 10 to 15%.
15%.
Across the board have converted and means they are regularized. That is happening. So in the month of June, especially in the second 4 of June, has helped us a lot. So 15% we can take as it is a benchmark. It is happening now. Going forward, definitely it will be more than even 30-35% is going to come up now. That's what we are looking at.
No. So you're not getting my question. These are accounts that have regularized, which means they have been upgraded back to standard. I'm asking, there will be a lot of customers who are paying, but they are still 90 days overdue, and therefore they still remain as NPL and don't get regularized.
I got your query. See, out of the customers who are NPAs on 31st of March, you want what has been the collections on those accounts, right?
Yeah, that would be very helpful. Yes.
Approximately about 30% of the customers have been making some kind of payment number-wise.
Okay.
Some kind of payment they have been making. But obviously, that is not adequate enough to pull them out of...
To upgrade to the standard.
60,000.
Got it. This gives good clarity. So my next question is, out of the restructured book in corporate, which is almost 4,500 odd crores, how much of that is LRD, or is it all builder loans?
Which one out of which one?
OTR.
The restructured book in corporate, how much of that is lease rental discounting? Because there also we have 3-4% NPLs, if I recall correctly.
So there also there is on the LRD also there is restructuring which is there.
LRD may be something around what you call
LRD restructuring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is there. It is there. Out of, for example, on the non-retail segment, non-retail total restructuring amount is say in Q2, Q4 it has been around say 1,700 odd crores, and in Q1 around 2,000 crores. Some 700-800 crores restructuring requests have been received.
Over 2 quarters.
Yeah.
Okay. And just at the risk of repetition, sir, if you could explain exactly now, last quarter our impairment reserve was 284 crores as of March 31st. This 284 crores had been passed through the PNL of FY21.
See, again, I'm telling you, again, it is not a provision, it is an appropriation. It is an appropriation of the PNL account. Provision. It is an appropriation.
Okay, my question is, what is that number as of June? And this is, yeah.
Yeah.
As of June, what would it be?
As of June, it would have been around 350 odd crores.
Okay. And so then what happens to the
appropriation, not a provision. Please don't mix it up. It is an appropriation. It does not have any real impact.
Understood. So the difference between the 500 crores that we are required to make and the 350 crores that we have made. So the 150 crore difference is part of our ECL of 4,700 crores. Is that understanding correct?
Yes, that is right.
Understood. Fine. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. That's all from my end.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Sudipto, I just had a follow-up question on that. So when you say appropriation, so you mean that it's from an accounting perspective, it's part of the shareholders' equity. So I mean, it's not like a separate. Yeah. So it's still a part of Tier 1. It's not like a separate loan loss reserve on the balance sheet.
But it cannot be used for servicing dividends.
Yeah, it cannot be used for servicing dividends. Yes. And just a question. So this quarter you have 800 crores of provisions, and your net change in the so this balance 250 crores, should I assume it as a write-off?
No, I'm not getting your write-off.
No, somewhere there are some missing, I think. When you are talking, yeah. Tell once again, sir.
Yeah. So this quarter, the provisions through your PNL are crores, and the net increase in your total ECL, which you reported in your PNL, in your PPT, is about 550 crores. So the difference between the two, that is of 250 crores, because ideally your provisioning through the PNL should have added to your ECL, right? So the difference between these 250 crores, is that, should I construe it as a write-off?
No, it is not a write-off. It's not a write-off.
So I mean, or is it sitting in under some other head?
Yeah. It is not a write-off.
Okay. So under what head is that sitting then? That 250 crores. I mean.
No, I'm not really able to understand the 250 crores. If we can get back, then we'll able to.
Which figure you are talking about? One is about the provision we made 830 crores. Okay.
Yeah.
Then second figure of 250, what you are telling? No, 550, from where it has come?
No, 550. So I'm looking at the difference between the ECL, the total ECL that you have,
So last quarter it was.
No, there will be some error. We'll reconnect later on. I think you are not able to connect the correct figures.
Okay, fine. I will get back to you separately. Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Rikin Shah from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is already answered. Thank you.
Yes, Rikin, sir.
Yeah, my question is already answered. We can
Thank
go
you,
to the
sir.
next one.
Thank you. Next question comes from Kunal Shah from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So most of the questions have been answered, just a couple of them. So when we see in terms of the behavior of this restructuring pool, okay, which is maybe in terms of the provisioning that is added to the impairment allowance, suppose if that restructuring fails and it defaults, so when does it actually come and hit P&L? So maybe what is the nature of this restructuring, and maybe is it like a 1 year, 2 year moratorium? So just to understand the stress in this coming into P&L, what could be that?
Now again, Kunal, let me clarify. The provisioning is already done. It is only the difference between the IGAAP provisioning under the IRAC and the ECL provisioning, which is to be reflected through a reserve, which is to be created as an impairment reserve. So as I mentioned in the earlier,
default.
I'll explain to you. What happens is that right now the provisioning is made at the rate of 10% as under the RBI circular. The moment it becomes an NPA, it will become 15%. So that will happen after the end of the restructuring period. Somewhere it is a 1 month moratorium, somewhere it is a 1 year moratorium, somewhere it is a 2 year moratorium. To answer your query, right now the provisioning is made at the rate of 10% as per the Reserve Bank guidelines. But you know that generally in the required provisioning for an NPA account is 15%. So that balance 5%. That balance 5%.
Here in terms of 10% made and 5%, just in terms of the nature of restructuring, is it 1 year, 2 year?
Depends. Mostly what we have given is that we have not given principal and interest moratorium to a customer. Very rarely it has been given. In most of the 90% cases, we have given only principal moratorium. So the customer continues to service the interest.
Correct.
So that is one thing that we have tried to ensure, so that there is some regularity in terms of the financial discipline. Now, coming to your points, what happens if at the end of the moratorium the customer is not able to service the principal, or in the interim also he fails? So even in the interim, if he fails, then the moratorium covers it. Thereafter, after the closure of the completion of the moratorium period, if the customer is not able to pay, he will be deemed to be an NPA on that day. At that point in time, whatever is the provisioning requirement under the IRAC norms and also the ECL will be compared, and whichever is required, whatever provisioning is required will be made.
That is as now the OTR now whatever government says that we are doing it 10%. That's what the provision.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. And overall GNPA in the developer book, stage 3 on the developer book is how much? Is it 19 or it's a higher number?
No, developer GNPA as per the stage 3 account, we'll talk of the stage 3, there is 24.4%.
That is 24.4. So 18.9 is the individual non-housing commercial.
Yeah, correct. That is non-housing commercial.
So that's the individual non-housing. So developer 24.4, which is round about 3,700 plus 4,300 crores of restructuring. And then you mentioned stage 2 as well. So stage 2 was how much? 2,400 in developer.
Our loan book size under the developer loan is very, very small. Only 15,000 crores only, not very high.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. So, okay. So got it. And finally, in terms of the restructuring on the retail side, so obviously that's quite low and there will be in a pipeline. But any expectations in terms of what can we get through? Larger part of it is still developer, and we have window till September.
Correct.
So what is the kind of request we could get, and how much could get restructured? Because in some of the places we had seen retail restructuring also to be quite high, because EMI component of housing loan is generally higher and people tend to restructure that. So any expectations in terms of how much could be retail restructuring?
Yeah, I'll share with you whatever has been the restructuring quarter-wise under both OTR1 and on the retail. So that will give some indication of what is coming up or what can be expected. Say, for example, in the fourth quarter, that is March ending quarter, that time there was no OTR2. That time it was OTR1. So under that OTR1 in Q4, we had restructured 1,200 crores, approximately 1,190 something. So 1,200 crores you can roughly take. Whereas in the first quarter of this financial year, the number came down significantly. It came down to only 234 crores under OTR1, and there were some around 45 crores or 40 crores under OTR2. So that number had come down to 300 crores in Q1 of this year. Yeah. Generally, what we have observed is that towards the end of the OTR window, the number of customers who come, that increases. Same thing happened in Q4 also. All through the initial months of OTR, there were hardly any applicants. Towards the close, the number of applicants increased significantly. So I think 1% is something we can take out on outside.
Yeah, that's the most, because what happened so far already we are restructured.
Already restructuring has happened. It's a very, I mean, at this point in time to take a number also, it is not, it will not be a correct guesstimate also.
And one more thing is that people who are already availed of this actual OTR, they are also interested to come out of that. Yes. They want to preempt that option, so that there also some, we are seeing some green shoots there also. That is also an advantage for us.
Sure. Okay.
And this is considering the fact that for the non-retail segment, there are also eligibility criteria regarding getting the RP4 rating from the rating agencies. That also in many cases it is not. I mean, not able to obtain that.
Sure. And lastly, in terms of growth, so sequential decline has been relatively higher. No doubt the base Q4 is higher. There is the impact of seasonality plus the disruption. But otherwise, housing has done relatively well in general because there was a momentum. So how should we look at the overall growth in the coming quarters? What we saw in H2 of FY21, should we expect that in terms of our competitiveness, we will be somewhat similar and we will get back onto the growth, and this is just a temporary kind of moderation which is there?
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you, actually, as far as the growth is concerned, this Q1 really was a good one compared to earlier. Already we have got more than 150% growth, and even everywhere activities are in full swing from June onwards. Then going forward now, this Q2, we are expecting almost all the same turnaround of Q4 of last year. We are looking at that. So with that, what happened now, there should be a good, actually even the current June, which has recently gone, is one of the best in our, of any quarter in the past June month in terms of disbursement. So the next quarter and also even the Q3 also we expect excellent business. Especially for Q2, we are aiming at repeating whatever we did in last year Q4, so that what happened, we can take a quantum jump with a great bounce back.
Sure. Okay. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Nishant Shah from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. This is Nishant. Question is in my individual capacity, not Macquarie. So just one question. Of all the home loans and the LAP loan NPLs that we have, I understand that the LTVs that we're standing at are very comfortable, right? Only question is of say either the individual loans or the LAP loans, what percentage of those NPLs would pertain to projects which are still under construction? Like we would have valued the say flat at say 1 crore, but that is assuming that the property gets completed. If the project is stuck, then there is no collateral really to sell. So what percentage of our NPL cases would be such where the collateral probably is not currently in existence, it is stuck because the project is stuck or something like that? Because otherwise, would there really be a big worry in terms of write-offs or crystallized credit losses at least in the individual kind of portfolio. That's my question.
Yeah, Nishant, the loan to value on the entire project portfolio is around 38 or 39%. Its exact number is less than 50%.
Sorry to interrupt. Not on project, on individual. So
okay.
What I mean, yeah.
Individual LTV, 2-3 different categories are there. I'm talking of first of all individual home loans. The LTV is around 44%. That is on the book, right? For the non-housing individual, which is basically the LAP, there the LTV is around 33%. And in the non-housing commercial, the LTV is 34%.
Correct.
That is as far as the LTVs are concerned. Now for non-housing individual and non-housing commercial, there is no execution risk because these are normally ready-made and readily available or income earning properties. The question what you have raised is relevant only to the individual home loan segment. And here in the individual home loan segment, please understand that our disbursement will also be vis-a-vis stage of construction. So when we are talking of an LTV, it is an LTV on the book. It means that if the construction is 60%, then my disbursement to that customer will also not exceed 60%.
Correct. That is the.
So the LTV will hold. It is not that our exposure is more than the stage of construction. So if the stage of construction has not proceeded, then my disbursement would have also not proceeded. And whatever construction has happened, the example that you have taken, that the value is considered at the time of selling, it is not so. The value is considered at the time and to the stage to which construction has proceeded.
And we also value at every stage. So now as it is now, the total valuation of the book also is always will be more than 1 to 1.5 times also will be there. Like in project here also, so that that is taken care of already, not a problem.
Understood. So just to get this right, so in a case where you've say given a home loan where the LTV is say 50%, right, and the stage of construction is done about say 60-odd%, the value over there in this LTV ratio is not the final selling price. It is
absolutely not. It is only the valuation that is done is only up to the stage of construction.
Okay.
That is the stage of construction because my disbursement will depend upon the stage of construction and the valuation done at the particular stage.
Correct.
Okay. No, so I'm just trying to, okay, fair enough. So just again, to just like understand this a little bit better, I booked a flat on the 10th floor and the building is now completed up to the 5th floor. In this case, how do you assign a value to the flat which is not even in existence yet? In the case of a home loan.
See, there is in any such apartments which are high-rise apartment, even if your property has not come, you have a claim on the undivided share of land.
Understood.
Proportionate share of land will be
that
there.
Is called undivided share of land. You have even you as a customer, you can also stake a claim. Although my flat is on the 15th floor and the construction is completed after 5th floor, you still have a retained value in your investment. And in any case, that particular property will not have proceeded to that extent.
Correct.
Understood. So in this case, when you disclose an LTV of 44%, in case of a home loan where the disbursement, where the project has not been completed, the value considered is the proportionate stake of land or whatever. Absolutely. It's not nowhere close to the ultimate selling price.
No, because the disbursement will also be done on that. For what happens if you have purchased the property in a 20-story apartment and your flat is on the 19th floor? It doesn't mean that you, as a customer, start making payment only when you have reached the floor. You start making even at the 5th floor.
Got it. Perfect. Yeah. So then in that case, the eventual crystallized losses from the home loan portfolio should be near zero, right? Because an LTV of 44 is super comfortable. Then should we just consider the provisioning as timing difference? Yeah.
I will share some numbers which will give you some comfort. Write-off, that is ultimate loss. In the 32 years, cumulative. In the home loan segment, we have done less than 300 crores net. And total amount of disbursement that we have done is more than 4 lakh crores. So that way, if you look at it, ultimate loan losses will be in single-digit basis points. But yes, there is a time which is required for recovery.
Okay. And when we do the recovery, the interest accumulated is also recovered, right? It's not just the principal amount.
Mostly it is recovered. Somewhere it is required to be waived also, but overall principal is not waived.
Yeah, additional interest and all will be taken care. No, they have to be paid anyhow.
Some penal interest, etc. In certain cases, we have to take a practical call, looking at the IRR of the payout, not the exact amount,
We
but
have
the
got
IRR.
our own norms are there. We follow as per NHB.
We have to also look at the IRR.
Understood. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. That's all I was trying to get to. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Yagnesh Chauhan from Reliance Nippon Life. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking my question. I wanted to understand that we have filed an appeal with the SAT on the capital raising. What is the status of that?
Please note it very clearly, we have not filed any appeals with the SAT. I repeat, we have not filed any appeal with the SAT.
We are only in touch with the exchanges, whatever.
We have also not received any instruction from SEBI. Only the stock exchanges have informed, and you can refer to the disclosures that we make on the stock exchange. I would feel that you should look at the disclosures that we have made to stock exchange. The stock exchange have asked us to withhold the result of the e-voting, and exactly that is what we have done.
We are waiting for the instruction further.
Further instruction is awaited. Okay. We have not filed any appeals with the SAT.
Yes. That is
okay, sir. But there are some media articles which we have came
No,
across.
we cannot respond to media, but very clearly I am telling, we have not filed any appeal with the SAT.
We are fully compliant with all the regulations and all. We are in touch with the concerned exchanges who are corresponding with us. That much you can
okay. So what is the exact concern from exchanges side on that?
No, see, exchanges have actually asked us for certain clarification.
In the disclosure, it is there also.
Disclosure, I would request you kindly go through the disclosure. We have given very clear, explanation, etc. has been placed with the stock exchange.
Exchange side is available. You can look into that also. That tells you more details also.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Vivek Ramakrishnan from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Sir, good afternoon. Thank you. My question is follows. It comes from the earlier point that you made that you had only 300 crores of write-offs in the home loan portfolio. Would you also have an equivalent amount of how much you've recovered? What is the amount of property that you've sold and recovered money? In the sense that at what point do you take a decision to sell the property and recover the money? And because that always has this negative customer impact and so on. That's my only question, sir. Thank you.
And normally what we do when the people fail and all, there will be a lot of what you call follow-up will be made to people once again regularize account and all. In case it is almost become default NPA, then again pending for a long time, then people also try for all OTS and all. If not over, then what happened under surface they proceed. And as per that, we take physical possession, conduct auction, all these things are there. That all followed. That's all. That's the only normal procedure.
Sure, sir. Do you have any idea of quantum of sales of properties that you have done to recover monies? You said 300 crores was write-off, so equivalent would be
you meant the current year or so far like that? What do you want actually?
You could give like a 1-2 year history also would be very good, sir, because
in the recent past because of COVID and all, because of COVID and all, surface and all were not in the sense, not in the actually on the expected levels. Or else earlier and all we used to have that one, and then every year out of our gone into NPAs, you could have seen at least some % suddenly will be the achievement level as far as the recoveries are concerned by selling the properties.
See, apart from selling properties also, just issuance of SARFAESI notice also in many cases evoke some action from the borrower.
Sure, I understand that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Ankit Agarwal from Yellowstone Equity. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello, sir. So just wanted clarity on the employee expenses, the earliest part. I understand it's about 125 crore and it's one time, but could you give some more qualitative color, like what is it about?
That salary amount, no, you are asking wage arrears and all.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, see what happened in our company, we have got one policy, wage policy, we don't revise salary every year here. Once in 4 years only we give escalation salary. So that was due from the year 2017 to 2021. It has been done now in the month of June. So the arrears are to be paid from 2017 onwards to 2021. That has come to 125 crores amount. That is the thing. So henceforth what happened, only the regular salary will be paid. Compared to earlier quarters, there may be an increase of 15% overall as far as the payout is concerned for salaries. Every quarter, every month like that. That's it.
And so why don't we do a provision for this? Because on a accrual basis, given that we will do every 4 years, it's kind of given that there will be some expense on an accrual basis. Why do we take like a one-time hit? Why this accounting policy?
Correct. What happened earlier, there was no what rate it will be approved or something and all. We had to go to board for approval and all. No, so what rate and all was.
It is not quantifiable at that stage. But going forward, what we have decided is that next cycle, whenever it will be due, that is maybe in a couple of years from now, from that time onwards, every quarter. Small amount might be, because if it comes every quarter, then the amount will be in just maybe a few, it will not even touch double-digit crores.
Yes. Very small amount.
Very small amount. Every quarter it will be for prudence.
Some 10% or that we can take and provide for. That's what we'll look.
Right. Okay, makes sense. And then just, sorry to come again on the OTR question. You mentioned that it's mainly in stage 1 and stage 2. But on the other hand, whatever deficiency is there between the reserve and the provisioning amount, you said it's sitting at stage 3 provisioning. So why is there a disconnect there?
No, I'll tell you again, kindly note it is two different accounting practices. One is under Ind AS and the other one is as per IGAAP. Right? The RBI provisioning etc. has to be created as per the IGAAP, which is being done. Only the balance between Ind AS and IGAAP has to be reflected through a creation of reserve. So please do not confuse the creation of a reserve with an OTR. They are completely different things.
OTR also, what happened, people, they should be eligible, no, first of all, to avail OTR. Then unless they are eligible.
Please don't confuse the provisioning. Whatever is required is being done appropriately and correctly. Under the two different guidelines, that is the RBI guidelines of 10%, that also is being done.
Okay. And on the collection efficiency, it's 98% for the month of June or for the whole quarter?
No, we have been tracking for each month. Now you have to note that whatever collection happens for that particular month, we considered for the regular accounts only that much of collection, because if you add the collections of previous months, then sometimes the number might even exceed 100. So only for the accounts which are due for that particular month, the ratio is taken. Whatever is the NPA account for them, there is a different calculation, which will any which ways get reflected to the NPA numbers.
Okay.
And this number has been consistent even in the March quarter also. You have seen it was around 97-98%.
Yeah, now because
now
online collection, e-NACH payments, all these things helped us a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And just one last question. So you mentioned there was a recovery in one account. Is that related to builder loan?
No, that is not a builder loan.
It was a loan given to one, I think, corporate.
Okay, so
it is a lab
corporate.
Lab.
But there were some accounts that were pending with LCLT, like 4 accounts or something with regarding developer loans. What's the progress on that?
No, there is some progress, but
no, because of the pandemic and all, now we can't say what actually. It may take some time.
Only when resolution happens, we will share that. Like we have shared this news also. This has happened in July, so it is obviously not factored in the June numbers. It will come in the September numbers. But it is a progress, so that's why we thought that it will be shared with shareholders.
Understood. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Abhishek Murarka from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
आपण ज्या व्यक्तीसोबत बोलत आहात त्या व्यक्तीने आपला कॉल होल्डवर ठेवला आहे. कृपया लाईनवर राहा.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Thank you. So I just wanted to reconcile the NPA numbers because there's some confusion, and I really appreciate if you can help me with the numbers here. So as you said, the retail mortgage book, which is the 1.8 lakh crore book, 78%, that has a 2.6%.
Abhishek, in the interest of time, I'll read out the numbers. You can note it down.
Okay.
You can just note it down. This is as per the index, so we'll not talk of this is stage 3 that we are telling you.
Yes.
And the total assets are also on index basis, right?
Sure.
So I'll just tell you the numbers. Will request you to kindly note down quickly, right?
Yeah.
In individual home loans, the stage 3 is 2.6%. If you want numbers,
Right.
the number is 4,727
Perfect.
crores. Then in non-housing commercial, the stage 3 is 18.9%, and the amount in terms of amounts is 2,707 crores.
2,707.
2707.
Got it. Okay.
In non-housing individual, which is mostly the LAP, etc., there the stage 3 is 10.99%. You can take 11%, and the amount is 2253 crores.
2253. Okay.
And the project, the NPA number is 24.4%, and the amount is 3889.
3889. Okay. So if I add up all this,
13,577.
13,570. Got it. And the lab portfolio is in the the LRD portfolio is in the lab book, right? So 18,600.
No, LRD and LAP is different. You're contradicting yourself only.
No.
The
so
LRD.
That's what the whole.
No. Why? I've given you so many bifurcations. Part of the LRD is sitting in the project, and part of the LRD is sitting in the non-housing commercial.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What is that bifurcation? Can you give?
See, total put together, the LRD book will be around 9,000 crores.
And how much is in non-housing commercial?
Those details I will share separately. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This is fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Raghav Soni from Brand Capital. Please go ahead. Next question comes from Mr. Raghav Soni from Brand Capital. So please go ahead with your question, sir.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, sir, can you please highlight the PCR, provision coverage ratio? I think in the news article it was referring, it's 32%. Can you just give an overview of that? How is it 32%? Reason is that we'll be in a better position to understand about the future.
It is around 34%.
PCR now stands at 34% as at the end of Q2. Sorry, Q1.
Okay, sir.
As of end of Q1, it is 34%. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question comes from Saurabh Kumar from JP Morgan. Please go ahead. Mr. Saurabh, please go ahead with your question. Mr. Saurabh Kumar from JP Morgan, you can go ahead with your question. There is no response, sir. Next question comes from Mr. Parameshwaran S from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Just reconciling some numbers. So if you look at slide 20, you said that ECL provision in stage 1 and 2 total is about 114 crore. Now on the restructuring side, I guess on a 10% basis, you need 550 crore. So is the balance 420 or 430? Is that the impairment reserve? As
No.
in, has the 280 crore
Again, let me tell you, again, I think you are getting confused. Please understand, which is done for the OTR, that is under the RBI IRAC norms. What you are talking about is the provisioning under ECL. They are completely different thing. ECL is under
Yes.
ECL, and
Yes,
this
so
is
you
under
said the
IRAC.
difference. You said
There
the
is-
difference is routed through impairment. Now,
Yeah, correct,
the
correct.
110 crore is stage 1 and stage 2, the total you hold.
This is different. This
Whereas
is different.
the requirement is 550.
No, it is not. The requirement is not under Ind AS. The requirement is under RBI IRAC norms. What the numbers published are under Ind AS. It may or may not contain. They are completely different things. The provision is on a
Okay.
pooled basis. Right?
So I wanted to understand if 280 crore has moved up in this quarter, the 280 crore impairment reserve that you were holding as of last quarter, whether
Correct.
it has moved up. Has it moved up this quarter?
Yes, it has. It has.
So what is that number outstanding now?
Around 350 odd.
350 is the relevant number.
Correct,
impairment
correct.
reserve.
Correct.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be the last question for the day. Now I hand the floor to the management for closing comments.
I thank you everyone for a very good interaction with every one of us. Looking forward now, the next quarter, there will be great bounce back, and we are also very much confident that the disbursements, especially, will be in a higher scale across. Then, once again, I would again reassure all our stakeholders that we are fully committed to address all your concerns, and I also thank you for your continued support. Looking forward for a very good and also more than expected growth in this quarter across all the regions with a very good rate of interest what we are having, and with involvement of all our team members. We are looking for repetition of what we did in the last year Q4 in this Q2 now. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your conference for today. Thank you for your participation and for using Dursabha's conference call service. You may disconnect your lines now. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.